Conflict is like a poison that doesn't just hurt the person we are fighting with. It slowly dissolves our own peace. We believe that by building walls of silence and anger, we are protecting ourselves. We think that control means keeping the enemy out. But the truth is, every wall you build to keep someone else away also becomes the wall of your own prison. Real power. The power of compassion is not in the ability to exclude, but in the courage to connect. Once, in a lush valley, lived two brothers named Leo and Thomas. For 40 years, they had farmed side by side, sharing machinery, labor, and stories. Their lives were a beautiful tapestry of cooperation, but one morning a small misunderstanding over a stray ox led to a sharp word. That word led to a week of silence, and that silence grew into a deep, bitter resentment. The rift between them became so wide that they stopped speaking entirely. A small creek ran between their properties, but in their minds, it had become an impassable ocean. One afternoon, a traveler carrying a chest of carpenter's tools knocked on Leo's door. "I am looking for a few days' work," he said. "Do you have any small jobs I could help with?" Leo looked across the creek at his brother's farm. Thomas had recently dug a trench to widen the water, clearly trying to separate their lands even further. Leo's heart burned with anger. "Yes," Leo said, "I have a job for you. See that pile of lumber by the barn? I want you to build me a wall, a high wall. I never want to see my brother's face or his farm ever again. Build it high enough so that his shadow never touches my grass." The carpenter nodded. "I understand the situation," he said quietly. "I will do a job that will please you." Leo had to go to town for supplies, so he left the carpenter to work. All day long, the sound of sawing and hammering echoed through the valley. Leo imagined the massive wooden barrier that would soon stand between him and his brother. He felt a grim sense of satisfaction believing that this wall would finally give him the control he craved over his pain. When Leo returned at sunset, he couldn't believe his eyes. There was no wall. Instead, the carpenter had used the lumber to build a bridge. It was a magnificent structure, with hand-carved rails and a sturdy deck, stretching gracefully across the creek connecting Leo's land directly to Thomas's. Leo was furious. He opened his mouth to shout at the carpenter, but at that moment, he saw Thomas walking toward him from the other side. Thomas' eyes were wet with tears. He crossed the bridge and took Leo's hand. "After all the terrible things I said and did," Thomas whispered, "I could believe you built this bridge. You are a better man than I am, Leo." Leo stood frozen. He looked at his brother, then at the bridge, and finally at the carpenter. The anger that had felt like a heavy stone in his chest for months suddenly dissolved. He realized that the wall he wanted to build would have kept his brother out, but it would have kept the bitterness in. He reached out and embraced his brother. This was true reconciliation. As the brothers walked back to the house together, the carpenter began to pack his tools. "Wait," Leo called out. "Stay for a few days. I have many other projects." The carpenter smiled and slung his bag over his shoulder. "I would love to stay," he said, "but I have many more bridges to build." This parable is a mirror for our modern world. In our digital age, it is so easy to build walls. We block people. We cancel those who disagree with us. And we build fortresses of self-righteousness. We think we are winning, but an isolated heart is a fragile heart. Every time you choose resentment, you are handing your happiness over to the person you hate. You are giving them control over your internal state. The healing in this story is the realization that kindness is the ultimate form of strength. It takes no effort to be angry. A child can do it. But it takes the heart of a warrior to build a bridge when every instinct tells you to build a wall. When you choose to be kind, even to those who have wronged you, you are reclaiming your power. You are saying, "My peace is too valuable to be determined by your actions." In the philosophy of Stoicism, we learn that we cannot control what others do, but we have absolute mastery over our own responses. Leo thought the wall would give him peace, but it was the bridge that set him free. As you go through your week, look at the creaks in your life, the small gaps between you and your family, your friends, or your colleagues. Are you stacking bricks for a wall of silence, or are you looking for the lumber to build a bridge of understanding? I invite you to do one small act of bridge building today. Send a kind message to someone you've been distant with. Offer an apology even if you are only 10% wrong. Listen without judgment. You will find that as soon as the bridge is built, the barrier in your own heart vanishes. You will find that the valley of your life becomes much wider, much greener, and much more full of light when you are no longer living behind a wall.